Hey, hello.
So we're doing like that for assignment. How many assignment we got? Just one.
We have labs
Yes.
and also major project. And major project in
Just one project.
Yeah, just one project, but several iteration, like iteration 0 to iteration 3.
And
Yeah.
by the way, it seems like we built like for backend.
Yes, we only build backend, but we provide you with front
How
end that you
about
can
like
connect with.
database system?
No, we only do file-based database. Yeah, we do database, but we are not doing complicated database like what is called in 3311.
We're gonna do like
But
SQL.
No, we only do file-based.
So
Yeah.
it means we still need some knowledge on that,
We will teach you.
but like not much.
Not much. Yeah, it's not very complicated. Yeah, but we'll teach you how to do it. Yeah, we teach everything. No worries. You don't need to stress.
Can we do link list in JavaScript?
Sorry, what?
Can we do link list in JavaScript?
Link list?
Link list.
A link list?
Yeah, a data structure. Can we?
I'm not too sure. Sorry, maybe ask ChatGPT. Can everybody online hear me? Can everyone hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Hello, testing, testing. What about now? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? No? Still no? Can? Okay. Yeah. Okay, cool. Great. Perfect. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for checking me. Starting the lecture. Okay. Hello, everyone. Hello. We have more students coming in. Just a quick notice that we have already released your iteration 0 for your major project this morning. So it was released this morning at about 9 a.m. So a quick to-do for after the lecture, so not now, but after the lecture, is to have a quick chat with your teammates, starting to have a look at the spec for iteration 0. We also included a pre-recording video explaining to everything that you need to know about iteration 0. Not now, but have a look at that after the lecture. But just a quick notice so that everyone's aware that we have released the major project. And iteration 0 is very, very, very simple, and it only counts 5% of the major project. So the main purpose or the aim is to get you familiar with your team members, get used to how each other's work, like working habits, set up tones and everything. So this is all for iteration 0. It's very simple, very straightforward, can be finished very quick, but just to get your group working. Okay, so now let's have a look at Git, like team usage of Git. So last lecture, we talked about how to use Git for individual use, so for one single user. So now we'll talk about how to use Git as a team. So Git is primarily more useful when working as a team. So this is one major learning outcome of this course as well, like how we can manage a group project, software project. And Git is one of the major tools that you will need to manage a software group. And we can use Git to work with others effectively by using branching, merging, and others. So today, very similar to our last lecture, we'll do a lot of demos. So we will explain the concepts using demos, but we'll also introduce you with the concept, like the theory behind the demo. So here's what we had from our last lecture, where we explaining Git solo usage, like working directory, staging area, local repo, and remote repo. So before we move on to group work using Git, there's like a recap of what we have learned from last week. This was a saying that everything that you committed will never get lost. So you can always go back using time machine to a previous version of your work. So you do not need to stress if there's any conflicts between you and your team members' work. So as long as you commit your work, it can never get lost, and you can always get it fixed. So do you know why? Like why we can say that whenever we commit something, it will always be there and never get lost? It's because Git is powerful, like we mentioned, like everything in the staging area, and when we're using Git commit, we'll take a snapshot of the current, of your work of the current stage, right? So everything is snapshot. So we have a record, like you can check using Git log, check all the commit history, and each commit will include a state of your work, including all the changes and other like working environments, everything was taken a snapshot. So this is very powerful. Now, when we move on to working in a software group, one important thing is called a branch. So the Git repo is like a tree structure like this. So everything starts from the main branch of your work, or sometimes it's also called master. So master and main, they are basically the same. Like master is kind of an old school term of main, but they are the main branch of your work. So everything in the main or master branch is to be used by the users. So we will normally deploy or put everything on the master branch for the user to use. But we also want to make changes. So for example, Netflix. Netflix is always adding features, changing things. But we do not want what is working at the back end of things to interrupt the user's experience. Right? We still want Netflix to be able to use by the users while we're making changes, fixing bugs, right? So this is what we can do by having a branch. So a branch will copy all the history or everything that you had before on the main or master branch. But you can everyone hear the noise? Sorry. Is that better? Better? Okay, cool. So now what we can do is we can start a new branch of your work. And on that new branch, you can add more features, fixing bugs, but you are not affecting or influencing anything on the main or master branch. So the users are still seeing or using whatever you have on the master branch. All right, so this is one of the purpose having the branches. But also, another important thing is we may have different people working on different features. So you do not want to have too much interactions between each other's work. So you can create multiple branches here when you are fixing different bugs or adding different features. But eventually, you will merge everything back to the main or master branch that the users can see or use. Yeah, so this is branch. And this is why we have branches. And how branches work, so you can imagine it like a tree structure. So everything starts from here. Can you see my mouse on the screen? Yeah, so everything starts from here. So when you create a new branch here for your work, you will copy everything in the log, like in the Git history from the master branch. So everything before you break up the branch, like everything before you create this new branch, like all the commit history, everything in the repo will be copied for your work here. So you will have the full commit history before you create the branch. And similarly here, for someone else's work, and when you create this new branch will also have all the commit history before you create this branch. So it will have the commit history or Git history, everything from here. But it won't have anything on the blue branch, because the blue branch's work is not merged back to the main branch yet before we create the yellow branch. Does that make sense? Yeah, question?
Like, for example, the blue branch merges into that green branch.
Yeah.
And then we merge the orange branch. Does that get all the commit history of the blue branch and the master branch at the same time?
That's a very good question. So the question was, because we merged the yellow branch after we merged the blue branch. So will this has all the commit histories from the blue branch as well? Any guess or any thoughts? Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Why?
Because they all merge into a single branch.
Because they all merge single branch. Yes. So this is a very powerful feature of Git. Like, it will keep all the commit histories. So nothing will get lost. So you will get a history of everything. So you can always go back to the time machine. Yeah. Any questions so far while we're talking about the theory or the concept part before we move to the demo? All good? Okay, so let's have a look of what we have from last week. So last week we created this fantastic untitled project. And now we have three files for this untitled project. We had README file, we had the Git, we had the hello text file. So this is what we had from last week. And now what we want to do is I'm going to add a new feature for this untitled project. So before I do that, I will create a new feature branch for my new feature. So what I can do is by using Git checkout. Yeah, so before that, we can have a look at what are the branches that we have now by using Git branch. So you can see that we are currently on this main branch, and this is the only branch that we have for this untitled project. So if we want to create a new branch, what can we do? So there are two ways that we can create this new branch. So one way is using Git branch and then the name of this new feature branch. What kind of feature do we want to add for this untitled project? Animals? Animal branch. So we are going to add a branch called animal branch. So by using Git branch followed by the name of this new branch, we will create a new branch called animal branch. But when you check using Git branch, you can see that although a new branch has been created called animal branch, we are still on this main branch. So if we now add more files or add changes, we're still adding these changes on this main branch instead of the animal branch. So to make changes on the animal branch, we need to first transit or check out to the animal branch. So to check out or switch to the animal branch, the way we use is git checkout and then animal branch. You can see that switched to branch, animal branch. And now when you check using git branch, you can see that the star showing that where we are now, so which branch we are now. So you can see that we are now on the animal branch. So now when we make changes, we are making changes on the animal branch. And we can check using git log. You can see that all the commit history still exists. So although we are now on this new animal branch, it copied all the commit history from the main branch. So everything is copied. And now you can add things. So what files do we have? We have git, we have hello. Can we have a new file and animals to this new file called animals.txt? And now you can see that we created a new file called animals.txt, and this change is made on the animal branch. And we can add more animals.txt. What animal do you like? Tiger? Rabbit? Yeah, so now we add some changes to this animal file. So what should we do now? So I've done everything for this animal feature. What should I do now? Sorry, what? Git add? Anyone say git add? So I can add this new change to the staging area. So git add animals.txt. And you can check by using git status. So this is our recap from last week. So you can use git status to check, like now we are on branch animal branch, and these are the changes to be committed, right? So this new change is already on the staging area and ready to be committed. So we can use git commit. Can anyone give me a commit message? add animal file, animal.txt. And now, although we have commit this change, like this animal feature, it's still sitting on my local repo, right? So other people working on this project cannot see my changes. So what I need to do now is using git push. However, there will be an error message, git push. So you can see that when I use git push, and it says that current branch, animal branch, has no upstream branch. To push the current branch and set the remote as upstream, use this. What is the reason? So we used the git add, git commit, and then git push, and it worked perfectly last time, like in our last lecture. So now why there's an error message? Like we did the same as what we did last week.
It's not part of the main branch.
Sorry?
Has it not been merged yet, the main branch?
It's not been merged the main branch yet. So that's a very good guess. Any other thoughts? Yeah.
So we on your local property today, the branch is only your local property.
Yeah, so we created this branch by using git branch and then animals branch, but we created this branch locally, right? So this branch only exists on my laptop. It's not on the remote repo yet. So when you go back to the git repo, like the remote repo here, and you refresh it, you can. So yeah, one hint like how to check the branches on remote repo on the GitLab platform is by clicking on this. You can see that the branches here, we only have main branch on the remote repo so far. So we cannot push the changes that we created for the animal branch to the remote repo because there isn't this animal branch on the remote repo yet. So Git cannot figure out how we can push the changes to the animal repo on GitLab, right? So to do that, we need to follow the hint provided by Git by setting the upstream. So setting up this branch on the remote repo. So what we can do is by git push set upstreams origin and then animal branch, and it will ask for your password, and then everything works now. So, where is it? Yeah, where is it? Yeah, set upstream basically set the upstream. So set the remote branch for you. And origin, you can think of it like remote. So every branch on the remote repo starts with like origin. And then now when you refresh this GitLab repo, when you click on this button, you can see that there are two branches now. So other than the main branch, we also have the animal branch. So the branch is added. And when you click on here, you can see that we got the animal.txt on the animal branch. So this file is added here. However, when you switch back to main, you can see that the animals.txt is not on the main branch yet. It only sits on the animal branch. So this is useful when we want to separate like the features, and without interrupting the main branch like the users are using, we can add new features without interrupting what the users can see or use. And not only what the users can see or use, but also what your team members are working on. You are not interrupting your team members' work too much. Sorry, just a pause to answer questions from online. What slides are we on? We are on the Git team usage slide. So this is the slide that we are currently working on. Yeah, I think that's the question. Okay, so now I think I've done everything for my animal branch, for the animal feature. Now I want my users to use my animal feature. So I need to merge the animal branch back to the main branch. Right, so what should I do? So how can I merge it back to the main branch? The way that we use is called git merge. Yeah, question?
Question. Did you check out back to main
Uh-huh.
in your local repo?
Yeah.
Is that new files there?
Good question. So just to repeat for online, the question is if I git checkout to the main branch on my local laptop, will the local repo on the main branch has the animal text, so the new file? So before I answer that, let's have a look. Do you remember how to check out to the main branch? Git check out main. And you can see that switched it to branch main. And then when you list all the file, no, the changes are not there yet. The changes are only on the animal branch. Right. So now, if we want to merge this animal feature to the main branch, what we can do is first check out to main, and then using git merge, the animal branch. And it's a fast forward merge. You can see that the changes is like we add the animal.txt and there are 4 changes. So 1 file changed and 4 insertions. So merged successfully. Right. And we can add more branches. So for example, we can use git branch vegetables branch, and git, how to switch to the vegetables branch? Git checkout, yes, git checkout, and then vegetables branch. And similarly, we can do things like add files, change things on this vegetable branch, and then we can merge back to the main branch. So this is how we merge back to the main branch. However, there are many instances that you want to merge the main branch to your feature branch. This is because your team members may be making changes to the main branch. And you want your new feature to work well with what other people has changed on the main branch. Right, so there are instances that you want to merge changes from main to your feature branch. Right, so when people are making changes on the main branch, you want to avoid that when you merge your feature branch back to the main, there are not too many conflicts. So merging regularly from the main branch to your feature branch and solve conflicts as often and as early as possible. Right, so you do not want, like, when the main branch had changed a lot, but you stayed on the feature branch and ignore the changes on the main branch. And when you want to merge your feature branch back to the main branch, there's a huge conflict that you need to resolve. So this is things that you do not want to see. All right, so a good habit is to merge the main branch to your feature branch regularly and resolve conflicts as often and as early as possible. So how to merge the main branch to the feature branch is by, first of all, check which branch you are currently on. Like we are currently on the vegetable branch, and use git merge main, so you can merge everything from the main branch to your feature branch. And if there's any conflict, solve it, and then updating your feature or adding feature for the vegetable feature. Right? Yeah. So for your major project, you will also sometimes you will also see there's some merge request for your major project or merge request for your labs. So sometimes the course will push some minor merge updates to your project. For example, fixing some typos, fixing some minor starter code issues, but the merge request pushed by the course won't cause big issues for your project or your lab. They are just fixing minor things. So for example, sorry, I'll leave that example for your future lecture. But merge from main branch to your feature branch is a good habit to do. Any questions so far? All good. And you may have the question about what if a conflict happens. So it's the same with what we have demoed from last week. So merge conflicts. So you can just delete the lines that you don't like and keep the lines that you want to keep, and then push the change back. It's the same. So question from online. So we make branches containing the same main file, and merging branches just combine the files to add what one has and what main doesn't. For project, would we make one branch for each member? This is a very good question. Yes, so that will be a good habit. And when you look at the spec for iteration 0, we have very detailed instruction, like how you can work in a group for the major project. So very, very detailed instructions. And the answer to the question is yes. So another question by Siri online is, if I just change the code using the edit option in the GitLab website without using commit and stuff, is that an issue? So this is a good question that we haven't had a chance to demo here. So other than making changes on the command tool, like on the terminal, we can also do what you are used to do. Like you can also edit the file on your VS Code and add files, making changes to it so it works the same. It's just a different editor. So it's just a different editor. So the editor on VS Code or editor on command line, like using VI. So VI is also an editor. So they are all editors. So they are basically the same. And we can also make edits or make changes on the GitLab platform. So on the GitLab platform, we can also, for example, have a look at this hello file. You can add it here. So there's a quick IDE tool that you can edit directly here. But it's basically the same. You still need to add, commit, and push. It's just an editor. And you can add it directly online, like without opening your VS Code. So this is useful when you want to make a quick edit. But it's just an editor. Nothing major different. Another question online from Ryan. So if we want to merge our animal branch into our main branch, which branch should we be on? Any thoughts, any answer for this question from Raya? So if we want to merge animal branch to main branch, which branch should we be on before we use git merge? Main, that's right. So you need to be on the branch that you want to get other branches merged to. So if you want to merge animal branch to main branch, you need to be on the main branch before run git merge animal branch. So if you are on the animal branch and you run git merge main, you are adding main to animal branch. Does that make sense? Yeah. Petra said, I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you. Yes, he said, when I delete the file in both branches and main, there happened to be a bunch of push and pull issues showing up in the terminal. What specific issue happens here? Delete file in both branches and main. So it depends. So the question is, if we delete files in the animal branch and delete some files in the main branch, and when we run git pull and push, there will be some conflict. So it really depends on whether you are deleting the same file on the different branch or not. But deleting file can cause conflict. And this kind of conflict cannot be resolved by Git itself. So cannot be automatically resolved. So you will need to resolve the conflict yourself. But as we mentioned, like pulling regularly and solving conflicts early can avoid like solving big or large conflicts. So similarly from merging from main to a feature branch, you will also need to pulling from, remember how we pull changes from remote repo? Recap from last git branch. We are now on vegetable branch. Is vegetable branch on remote repo yet? No, it's not. So we git checkout to main, and then we can run git pull to pull the changes on the remote repo. And you can see that there's a merge. Which branch are we currently on? Git branch. Yeah, we are currently on main. And when we run git pull, oh, it says already up to date. Okay, so by running git pull, you are pulling other team members' change to your local repo. And you solve conflicts. So you will learn a lot of practicing a lot about solving conflicts. So solving conflicts is quite important. So not only in this small project, but also in many open source projects. So when you are working and collaborating with others on the same project, you will always be solving conflicts. But you will get practice on that. Another thing that is important to mention is, so we showed that how we merge the animal branch to main branch. However, in practice, or in many important large projects like Netflix or even on our major project, the main branch will be locked, meaning that you cannot merge your feature branch directly to the main branch. This is to protect the main branch. So to make sure that if there's anything wrong in your feature branch, you cannot merge directly to the main branch. So it will affect how the users use your software, right? So the way that we have is you create a merge request, and the merge request needs to be approved by another team members before you merge back to the main branch. The way we do it is by using the GitLab platform. So for example, you can see that, let's use the vegetable branch as an example. So because the vegetable branch is still clean now, git checkout vegetables branch, and git push. Again, we follow the hints using git push setup stream. Okay, so now we pushed the vegetable branch to remote repo. And you can see that we pushed that to the vegetable branch. And the way that we create this merge request is by clicking on the button here. So we are merging the vegetable branch to main. Right, so do not merge to main on your terminal. The main branch is locked for your major project. So what you need to do is you need to create this new merge request, and it will create a commit on your commit history. Right, and give it a title, add vegetables branch. And you can describe the changes you have made in your vegetable branch, like whether you're fixing a bug, whether you're adding a new feature, or what you are doing. And then you need to add an assignee, a reviewer. So who in your team will need to review this merge? Review any change made on this vegetable branch. So I'm the only one in this project, so I'm assigning to myself. And then create this merge request and ready to merge. So I consider it. So somebody, because this is assigned to me as a reviewer, so I can see this tab. But if you assign somebody else as the reviewer for your merge request, they will see this, and they can review your changes and then merge. You can see that, yeah, so that's in reality or in industry how it works. So the purpose is to protect the mainstream, the main branch, to make sure that everything on the main branch can work well. Yeah, question?
Before you approve the merge branch, I noticed there was an option to delete source branch.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember in the first lab, we told us to take off that option. So would you keep it on or?
follow the instructions. So in reality, it will depend. So sometimes if the feature branch you no longer need that, you can delete that. Yeah. Question from online. Oh, so would it be preferable? So the question from Rai is, would it be preferable to start on our animal branch, merge our main branch with it to resolve any issues, then switch to main and merge? Your thoughts? So the question is, would it be preferable to start on our animal branch, merge our main branch into animal branch, resolve any issues, and then switch to main and merge? Is that right? Is that preferable? Do you understand the question? So the question is, we made some changes on the animal branch, right? So before we push the animal branch to main branch, is that preferable to merge the main branch to the animal branch, solve any conflicts before we merge the animal branch back to the main branch? Yes, so this is also a very good question. So this is a good practice. Before you merge the animal branch back to main branch, merge the main branch to animal branch, resolve conflicts, and then merge the animal branch back to main branch. So you are resolving conflicts on the animal branch, so the feature branch, rather than resolving any conflicts on the main branch. All right? Yeah? Yeah, cool. He was asking where's Rennie. I'm also wondering where's Rennie. Does pulling from the remote repo include... the question is, does pulling from the remote repo include the branches on the remote repo? Okay. You have asked very good questions. So the question is, we showed pulling from the main branch on remote repo. So how about if we want to pull another branch on the remote repo? What should we do? So what we can do is by using... Okay, so let's check which branch are we currently on. So we are on the vegetable branch. So what if we want to pull the remote... let's go back to Git. So what if we want to pull the animal branch from the remote repo to the vegetable branch? We can run git pull. And remember that we say origin means basically remote. So if you are pulling from remote, you can use origin. And then animals branch. So you are pulling from the remote repo animal branch to the current branch. Uh-oh. Couldn't find this remote repo. Why? Is there a typo? Is it called animals branch or animal branch? So the answer is yes. So you can pull directly. So for example, if you are on the animal branch, you can pull directly the main branch to the animal branch. The answer is yes. But I'd recommend that you pull from the remote repo main branch to your local repo main branch before you merge the main branch to your animal branch, so that your main branch on your local repo is also up to date. Does that make sense? Yeah, I know this a little bit tricky to understand, like the remote repo, the local repo, and all the branches, but you will get used to that when you practice on your lab or your major project. Joshua is asking, is there a visual guide for the steps on merging and branching stuff? So here's the one that we showed at the beginning. So this is the visual representation of merging and branching. So it's like a tree structure. You can create new branch. You can also merge back. Are you lost or are you okay? Okay? Yeah, okay, that's cool. That's good to know. So I think we've covered this, and we covered this. We have already mentioned that. Covered. Okay, so that's everything about branches, merging different branches, working collaboratively in a team. Before we move on to the next topic, any question about Git? Yeah. If you have done pull something wrong,
Because maybe I made some code and I don't feel it is wrong, but some people find it is wrong. However, I have been pulled it. So what can I do?
so the question is, what should I do if I pulled something wrong?
Wrong code. Yes.
Wrong code. So everything you pulled is from the remote repo. Not sure. Push. What if you pushed something wrong on the remote repo? Any answers from the audience? What if I pushed something wrong to the remote repo?
You can use git checkout to roll back to the latest
So there are a couple of ways to revert back. So go back to the time machine. We'll talk about that actually in a future lecture. But for now, there's one called git revert. Yeah, you can use git revert to revert back to any commit, like in your commit history. Yeah, all the history is saved. Okay, so our next lecture is about package management. So we mentioned like why we learn JavaScript, and there are a lot of reasons why we use JavaScript, why we learn JavaScript. But one of the reason was that JavaScript, like there's a large community of developers using JavaScript, and there are a lot of resources about JavaScript. And also there are also a lot of libraries of JavaScript. Instead of writing every piece of your code by yourself, it would be amazing if you can use other people's code. Right? So it's like libraries in C, but there's a lot more libraries for JavaScript. And they are created by the developers using JavaScript. And they share the code online for free. And you can use their code and build on top of their code. So this is very powerful. So sometimes we may want to use a piece of code to solve a problem. And before you write that, you may search online, like if whether everybody else have already read something similarly. For example, you might be Googling like JavaScript, how do I check if a date is valid? So you might do not know any JavaScript function or method that can check whether a date is valid. So you ask Google or you ask ChatGPT, can you give me a code? And this is the code that they gave you, like import is valid from blah, 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 and then the function and then console log whether the date is valid. So the first idea comes to your mind, maybe you can copy this code and pass it in. So shall we work directly on this untitled project? So so this is our untitled project. So what I'm going to do is to check which branch I'm currently on. I'm going to git check out go back. Okay, let's work on this vegetable branch. And I'm going to create a new file called date.javascript. And then I can open this state JavaScript file and copy this piece of code. Oopsie. Sorry, what is going on here? Invalid. Okay, so now when I run node.date.js, there will be an error message about this import is valid from this function. So how can I get this date function, which looks pretty like a library? So how can I use this code? So this is the problem that we need to solve. And this is also why we introduced this NPM, which is called Node Package Manager. So it's like a huge library of code that you can use, or libraries that you can use. We call it module in JavaScript. And NPM is a tool that automatically installed alongside Node.js, that you do not install it individually. And it can manage your dependencies, modules, or libraries for Node.js project. And the way how we can get those code is there's a website online called NPM. So this is the library. So you can think of it like a library of library that you can use. And we were trying to find, where is it? We were trying to find this date function library. So we can copy and paste it here. So search packages, and you can see there's a lot of packages that we can use. And here's an exact match. When we click on it, you can find the repository of the library or the package, some introduction about how to use it, documentations, blogs, examples, and others. So before we show more about this platform, this NPM platform, shall we have a break? Let's come back at 12. Come back at 12. Hello, welcome back. Hello, online people. Can you hear me? Okay. Can you hear me now? Online. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Hello. Okay, should be fine. Cool. So now, this lecture, we will talk about how to build on top of other people's code. So how to use something like what we use in C as libraries, so very similar to libraries in C. But in JavaScript, we have a much larger base of those kind of libraries, which we call modules that we can use, or packages. So they are basically the same things. So here we find this data functions library or package. And to use that, they ask us to install this library or install this package. And they also give us instructions on how we can install the package. So this is the same for other packages. So for example, if we want to play with weather, so we can search weather, and we can also find like weather. So packages are about weather. So this is a weather, is a node module that makes it easier to get the weather for anywhere in the world. So if you want to get a weather from everywhere in the world, maybe you want to use this package. And there are a lot of other interesting packages. So what do you want to know, or what kind of library you potentially want to use? Animals? Animals. So you can see that there's even a package called animals. So somebody wrote a package about animals, and what it can do, it can get animals. But what about if we want to get some random numbers? So instead of writing the code to get random numbers ourselves, maybe we can use others. Maybe somebody else have already written the code so that we can use. For example, random. It's not searching. Search. And there's a package called random, and can get suitable random number generator supported by many common distributors. And they also tell you how to install this package, examples of how to use random, the package, the code they wrote, and some relevant, like how to use that. So you can see that it's very powerful. I found an interesting one yesterday. Yeah, so here's a package called random cat image. So somebody wrote a package getting random cat images. So you can see that we have a large community of developers using JavaScript, and they are contributing to the community, and they are creating these packages that we can build on top of. So yeah, so there are a lot of interesting things that we can do with JavaScript. Okay, so let's come back to our date function. Date function. And to use that, we need to run npm install date function. I copy it, go to my untitled project folder, and I pass it. Can I use directly? Maybe. Yeah, you can see that I did one package. Okay, so now let's try to run this state.js function. However, there's still an error message. Okay, so how can we use npm packages? How we install it, but still doesn't work. So the reason is that to use npm packages, we first need to init a project, like init an npm project, so that we can use npm packages. So we need to set up the environment first, and then we can use the packages. And the way we do it is by using npm init. So running npm init, we set up the environment for this untitled project so that we can use other people's packages. Okay, so let's run this npm init. So you can see that it will walk you through creating a package.json file. We'll go back to this package.json file. We'll go back to it. It will only cover the most common items and try to get sensible defaults. Okay, so it asks us, after I run npm init, it asks us to have a package name. Shall we just use untitled project? Yeah. And it asks for a version. So by clicking on return, it will use what's in the bracket as a default. So you do not need to tap yourself. So it gets the name, gets the version for you. But you can also change that by putting, for example, I don't want it to be 100. I want it to be 1.0.1. It's okay. And you can also have a description. So this is an amazing project by COMP1531 24 term 2 students. So this is the project that we created together. So this is the description of my project. And then we can have an entry point. So entry point is the entry point of your project. So in this case, we can say date.js, but we can also say animals.txt or git.txt. And test command, we'll leave it. So this is the Git repository. So this is the Git repository that we cloned from GitLab. And some keywords, authors, also is COMP1531 24 term 2 students. And lessons, is that okay? Yes. Okay, so now when I list all the files in this untitled project, you can see that there are 2 more files created after I run this npm init. When I set up the environment for before I can use the packages, the npm packages. And these are the package log JSON file and the package.json file. And just it's also one more called note.modules coming up. So these are new, created by npm init. So let's have a look at them so you can have a better understanding of why we need to do them. So this is our untitled projects. So this is the package.json file created by npm init. We'll talk about what is JSON file in our next lecture, so not today. But for now, just have a look at what's inside. So you can see that in this package.json file, it says dependencies, including this date function, because we run npm install date function. Remember that? So this is one of the dependencies. But if we never run npm install any package, it will be nothing here. And the name of this npm project is untitled project. The description is, this is an amazing project by COMP1531 24 term 2 students. And the version is 1.0.1. So this is what I inputted just now. And the main is date.js. And we can also add scripts here. So I will come back to this one later. And this is the Git repository, the URL of our Git repository. And also is us and the license. So this is the package.json file that we created. Right. And another thing that has been added is this note module. So under this note module, you can see that there's a lot of code under this date functions. So these are added by our npm install date function. So now we have all these libraries in this project, so that we can use the other people's code directly. We can call the functions of date functions. Yeah. So this is the package, the node modules, and there's another one called package-log.json file. So in this file, you can see there are much more detailed description of the node modules, the versions, where it is downloaded from, URL. So very detailed information of the dependencies. So why do we need to have this? Okay. So before we explain why do we need to have this, let's first try whether we can now run this date function. Okay, so let's check whether we have already set up the environment properly. so let's come back to here. Let's run node date.js. Okay, so one thing that we haven't changed yet is when we set the environment, we need to add one line in this package.json file. So you can see that this package.json file is not, we can still edit it after we init the project. So we can still add more properties in that. So for our main project and also overlaps, there's one script that we need to add to it is this type module. So after we add this to the package.json file, we can start to run our code. So now when I run, so you can see that this is a true date. So this is a valid date. So we can now run this date function. Oh, sorry, date JavaScript file. So till now, we have set up the environment to use NPM packages. So you may be confused, like why do we need to set up like this huge environment? Like why do we need to have package.json file or even this package.log file? The reason is that you may not the only one working on this project, right? So you are working as a team. So everyone working on this date.js file or working on this entitled project, they need to have the same environment, right? So they need to install the same version of the packages, right? So that we can avoid issue like saying it works well on my local environment, but somebody else cannot run it. Because you are working as a team, right? So you need to have the same environment. So it's kind of specify the environment using the package.json file and also more specifically the package.log.json file. So everyone's on the same page. We are using the same dependencies. We are aware of which version of this entitled project we are working on. And like some metadata like description, name, also this kind of metadata of your project. Right? Yeah, so now we are still working locally on my laptop. So I'm not yet collaborating with my team members on this NPM project. So I might not want to push my local repo to the Git remote repo so that other people can collaborate with me on this project. But there's one thing that we need to pay attention to is that you can see that under this node module, nothing was written by us, right? And it has a lot of files. And maybe when you have a very large project, you may install a lot of dependencies. You may use a lot of packages. You may use the random package. You may use the random cat image package and others. So the package or the node module will become larger and larger. So you do not want to push everything to your remote repo. It will cost a lot of memory and other people will need to spend a long time pulling that to their local repo. Because nothing in this node module is written by us. If they can be downloaded by you, they can still be downloaded by your team members, right? So as long as you put the version information properly in this package.log.json file, your team members should still be able to work on the same version, same environment as what you have locally. Right. So to do that, so when we push, if we want to avoid pushing the node module to the remote repo, one thing that we can do is by adding a file called git ignore. So when you add the git ignore file and put, so it's called .git ignore, and what you can do is you put this node modules and backdash. It means that when you push or git commit, it will ignore this node module. Okay, I will show you how. So now, when I check git status, you can see that these are all the files that are only working on my working directory. It's not added yet, not committed yet. So what I can do is, I'm introducing a new git command for git add is git add -- all. So instead of add each file individually, we can using git add -- all to add all the changes together, like moving all these changes to the staging area. So I use git add all, and then I git commit -m. Can anyone give me a commit message here? Set up npm and add date.js. And now I can git push, put in my key, and now when I check back to my untitled project remote repo here, oh, which branch did we on? Okay, we were on the vegetable branch. Yeah, we were on the vegetable branch. So imagine that we are adding the date function to the animal branch, and you can see that the package log.json file, package.json file, date is here. Why my git ignore is here? Oh, git ignore is here. This is right. So everybody will on the same page with git ignore, but the node module, the folder of the node module is not pushed. So although we git add all, we git commit everything, and we git push, but the node module is not pushed to the remote repo. So this is how the git ignore works. Okay. Yeah. So now imagine that I have done my work. Okay. Somebody else, my team members, they now want to pull the changes and add more changes. So they need to set up the environment as what I had on my laptop. So what I'm going to demo is by using Tiger VNC. Remember, Tiger VNC is like another laptop, another computer on a server. So it's different from my laptop. So what I can do is I first try git status first and git branch. It only has main. Git pull, okay, git branch, still main. Yeah, fast forward. So these are here. Can I git checkout and then vegetables branch? I switch to this vegetables branch. I git status. You can see that now I've put everything from. Can you see clearly from the back? Is that too small? Yeah, can you see from the back? No? Yes? Yes? Okay, cool. So I'm now on my Tiger VNC, so another computer. Right, I'm pulling everything from the remote repo. So how can I set up the same environment? So the way we can do is by using npm install. So by running npm install, it will get everything from your package.json file and all the version information from the package -log.json file. So by running git install, you can see that it's uploading, it added the package. So now when you list all the files, you can see that the node module is now added by running npm install. So by running npm install, it will use the information in the package.json file and the package.log.json file to set up the environment so that everyone will have the same environment to work on the project. And you do not need to upload or push the node module to the GitLab remote repo. By running npm install, you will have the same environment to work on your project. All right? Let me have a look at online questions. Ooh. Do you have to run? The question is, in my last demo, I ran the npm install date function before I ran npm init. The question is, do I need to run npm install date function before I run npm init to get everything in the node module? The answer is no. You can run npm init first and then install more modules. So for example, now here I've already set up the environment, like I've already run npm init. So if I want to install more packages, I can still do that after I run npm install. So let's have a look. For example, random search, this random, I can still copy this install script, come back to my project, npm run and render. You can see that it still works. So after you run npm init, after you have set up the npm project, you can add more packages to it by running npm install the package name. Now I have installed this random package, and when you check this node module, you can see that there's one more folder added for you called random, or two folders, random and seed random. So these modules are set up by running npm install random. And now you can use the functions, the methods in the random package. So this is how we can build on other people's work. So we do not need to write everything from scratch. And you can also be on the same page, like same environment with your team members working on the same project. Yeah. Another thing that we will use in the future when we have some testing and others is by editing this package.json file, and you can add some script. So for example, this is a default script. When we run npm init, it will create it for you, like script test and echo error node test specify. What is it? Okay, I will show you, and so you can get an understanding of what is that and how to use it. So what we can do is by running npm run and then test, it will say error no test specified. So this is kind of a script that you can define. So for example, git branch. So git branch is a command defined by git, right? npm install is defined by npm. So they define the script that you need to run on the command line, and they will do something for you. But npm run test is something that you can define. So for example, I can define another one. I can say util. It will print out something like hi, I'm util, and then I can run npm run util. It will print like hi, I'm util. And you can even have more powerful functions, for example date, and it can run date, and you can have date.js. Should I do this? I think so, if I remember correctly. Oh, sorry, I need to change it to date. Command not found. I forgot what I should do here. But the point is that we can define our own script so that we can run the function or run the file that we want. Oh, sorry, it should be node.js, sorry. Node date.js. Is that right? Okay. Yes, so you can see that you can define your own script to run. So when I say npm run date, it will run node.js. So the script is defined by you, but I can change it to whatever I want. I can change it to COMP1531, but still do the same. Change it COMP1531. You can see that it will still run this node.js command. So you can define your own script. So this is useful when we start to learning about testing. So you can define your test script by editing the scripts here in the package.json file. Yep. No question from online. Cool. Do you have any question before we move on? No? All good? Yeah, let's go back to our slides. Oh, so when you are looking at the NPM packages, the libraries, you may wonder, like there, for example, for random, there will be a lot of packages about random. So in addition to looking at their descriptions, like what they can do, you may also look at other data. So for example, their weekly downloads. So in a week, how many people have downloaded or installed this package? So you can get an idea of how popular, how trustable it might be. So there are some information. So for example, this one, like a lot of people used these packages or install this package in the weekly. The license and the last published, their collaborators. Yeah. And they are for free. So I saw some packages, they ask for donation. So you can donate for their work, but otherwise it's free. Is the slide clear to you? I saw people asking to turn off the light. Maybe I'll do it next lecture. I will figure out how to do it. Does that work? No. Room light? Is that better? Oh, sleepy. Okay, so let's go back to our slides. So we have already covered these. We've covered npm install. Okay, now code runs successfully. So this is what's installed when we run npm init. Like we get new package.json file, package log.json file, and the modules. We have already covered these. Yeah, custom scripts we have already covered. Yeah, cool. So this is everything about the packages. So the next lecture, we talk a lot today. Are we going to use? The question from online, from us Wanderer is, are we going to use npm packages a lot in the group project? Yes, we'll use the npm packages in the major project. So in addition to using other people's functions or method or packages, we can also define our own functions that we can use in my other files. So in C, we do similar things, right? So we define some functions in one file, and then we can use those functions in another file. So in JavaScript, we can also do it in a very similar way. So this is how we include libraries in C. Like we can use include studio.h, and this is how we do in JavaScript, like import fs from fs. So this is actually, the fs is actually a built-in library of JavaScript or Node.js. So you do not need to use git install to install this file, fs lab package. So it's built in by JavaScript. So JavaScript has some built-in libraries that you can use directly, and fs is one of the most popular or commonly used ones. It allows you to use the files. So we'll talk about database a little bit in this course. So this is how we can get information from a file that you store in your laptop or in your repo. So we can use this fs library, and it's built in. And there are also other built-in libraries. So when we click on it, we provide this link in the slide. You can see these are the built-in modules that you do not need to use npm install. You only need to use include, and then you can use them. And HTTP is the one that we'll use in this course. FS is one that we'll use in this course. And the syntax is also a little bit different. So instead of include, we use import from. Yeah, so let's have a try and see how it works. So I'm going back to my so I'm saving it as a pass.js file. So import pass from pass. You can see that we do not need to install it using npm install. We can use it directly, and we can run node in pass.js. It will get the current pass, like where are you at the moment. So there are a couple that you may find useful, but this is basically how you use it. Like instead of include, we use import. So this is the syntax. And we can also import it from our own file. So we can use others package on the npm platform. We can use built-in JavaScript modules, but we can also import in our own files. So for example, where's our code? Okay, so in this folder, we have a file called split before, and we define a function. So this is a recap of how we define JavaScript function. Instead of having a return type, we have function, and then the function's name, and the parameters, and then the main body of the function. So recap of how we use functions in JavaScript. And then what this function, many string function, does is it repeats the string for repeat number of times. So for example, if we have many string, 5 hello, it will repeat this string hello for 5 times. A recap of how we put strings together is like we can use plus. We can use the plus symbol, so we can combine 2 strings together. So this many string function, let's run it so that you can have a better understanding. So now I need to cd to this folder. So node, this file is called split-before.js. This is what is console log. So hello, hello, hello for 5 times. So what if we want to have a function in a separate file so that we have all relevant functions in one file, and then we call those functions in another file? So we will create another file called split after lab, and we have this function defined in this file. And to be able to use the function in another file, we need to export this function at the bottom. So we need to export this function so that we can use this function in another file. So this is the syntax. So because there's only one function that we want to export in this file, so we can basically use export default. So export default is to be used when there's only one function in the file, so that we only want to export this. Sorry, there's only one function in this file, and we only export one function. So we use export default. And we can have another like main file, like split after main. And in this file, we import this function from this file so that we can use this function in this new file. So this is the syntax in JavaScript, like how we can define functions in one file and call the function in another file. Okay, so let's try to run it. So what we can do now is by run split after and main.js, you can see that still hello, 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 hello for 5 times. Do we have any question so far?
To import from one to another, do they have to be in the same directory, or can you do it from like one folder somewhere else and still import?
The question is, do we need to have the library file and the main file and the one folder, or can we have one folder having all the functions that we want to export and the main in another folder? The answer is yes. So as long as you put the directory properly here, you can still use the file in any folder. So you can just add it where is it, like the directory, to get access to the library file. Yeah, question.
Is it relative to the current file, or is it relevant to the whole system? The prompt name that I'm going to insert.
Sorry, can you repeat
The
it?
prompt name that I'm going to insert here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just relevant to the file, the current file that I'm writing, so on, right?
Yes. So how you can get access to this file from your current directory. So this is, yeah. Any question? So I have a question. So what if in this file there's more than one function that I want to export? What should I do? But this is quite common, right? So you may define a lot of functions in one file, and you want to export all of them or some of them so that more than one function can be called in another file. Right? So this can be very common. So what we can do is we can have something like this. So we can have two functions defined in this file, this library file, and we export both of them. Right, so we can export more than one, and then we can call them by using the bracket. So we can import both functions from this file, and then we can use both functions in the main file. Yep. So these are two ways that we can import and export. So one is when there's only one file when there's only one function that we want to export, we can use export default. But if there are two functions or more than one functions we want to export, and this is the syntax that we use when we want to export more than one. But we can still have something like, so we can still use this syntax if there's only one thing that we want to export, the bracket one. This is more flexible. You can have one, you can have more than one. It is more flexible. There's also another interesting thing about the default export. For the default export, remember, have a look at here. So the function we define here is called many-string, and we export this, default export this many-string. However, in here, like when we want to use many strings from this library file, we can change the name. So instead of many string, we can say string many, and then it will still work because there's only single function that we export. So when we import, we can change the name, and JavaScript or Node.js still know which function we are importing to this file because there's only one single function. So we can change the name to cut off needs for the specific features that we want to have or functions we want to have. So you can change the name when we use default export. But we can't change the name when we use, sorry, go back, I'll change it. But we cannot change name when using the bracket export, so the normal export. Like so for example, we export many strings and add brackets here. Can we change many strings to string many? No, we can't. The reason is that we export multiple functions, and when you change the name, it doesn't know whether you read something wrong or you are referring to another function in the original library file. Right, so you need to keep the name the same. You cannot change the name. Yep.
And Python, when you import functions from other libraries, you could do something like import random as R, and then you could rename it like that. So
Yeah.
could you do something similar with multiple functions here?
That's a very good question. So we mentioned that when we use bracket to export and import, I said that you cannot change the name here because otherwise it won't know which function you are trying to referring to from the original library file, right? But the question is, can we do something to change the name here? So the answer is yes. We can still change the name by many string as string many. So now when you use string many instead of many string, it knows that you are actually referring to many string from the original file that where you export it to. Yeah, so you still have the flexibility to change name, but this is the syntax, like how you change. You cannot use that directly like this, no. But when you use the as syntax, you can, yeah. So the question is, does the order matter? No, only the name matters, so it knows which function they are looking for. Yeah, any question? Yeah, cool. Let's go back to the slides. So we have already seen this. Already have a look at here. Checked. Yeah, already mentioned. Yeah, so in summary, there are two ways of export and import. So we have default export and named export. And we generally prefer the named one. So the named one is more preferred because it adds flexibility to your code design, because you can add more exports later. So there's no strings, like you can only have one export in the library file, right? And it also means that you have to reuse the same name, so that is can be better, like to avoid any confusion. Because for the default export, you have the flexibility to change the name whatever you want. It's really hard to go back to the file and find exactly where you exported from or imported from. So so named export is more preferred than the default export. Yeah, we also mentioned this one. Yeah, when there's a lot of functions that you want to import, you can put them in separate lines. Like when you have a large project and there are many functions that you want, you can put them in the separate lines. Perfect. We have done it. Yeah, any question about exporting and importing? Modify, all good. Perfect. Cool, amazing. We'll have 5 minutes to answer questions about other stuff. Not about the lecture, but other stuff about the course, if you have any. No? Iteration 0. Iteration 0 has already been released. So a good starting point is to message your team members on Teams. Let them know that it has been released. Set up time to read through the spec together and to allocate tasks. Yeah, we have a video in it by Hayden, and it's pretty useful. You can see Hayden from week 4 this term. So Hayden will start teaching from week 4 this term. All good? All good? Okay, thank you.